Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I intend to confine my remarks today to two specific amendments, number 3 and number 10, in relation to private schools and SEND, and the delay that the introduction of this tax hike will have on such schools that would have and delay the introduction of this tax hike such that schools would have more time to financially plan. Madam Deputy Speaker, schools in my constituency have been punished by a series of tax rises since this Labour government took office in July. By adding VAT to private school fees and now ending their charitable business rate relief status, Labour are attacking aspiration. These tax hikes will not hurt the wealthiest. It is those people who have scrimped and saved to send their children to a school of their choice that will be hit the worst. Now, Labour seems to believe that you should not have a choice over where you send your child to school, which is evident in their similarly misguided schools bill currently making its way through this place. But schools will close because of this tax hike. And I know this because it's happening in my own constituency of South Northamptonshire. Cardiff School, founded in 1957, survived the Cold War, the winter of discontent, the global financial crisis and 3 Labour governments, yet it could not withstand the tax onslaught from this Chancellor and will close its doors at the end of the summer term. This will mean 120 pupils flooding back into the state system that is already struggling with capacity at a huge cost to the taxpayer. I will give way.
Thank you for giving way. I just want to refer to the comments made a few minutes ago, Madam Deputy Speaker, about how the experts suggested that this particular bill would have marginal, negligible impact on the education sector. If she could reflect on those points.
Thank you. That may be the evidence that you have received in this instance, but I'm giving a real-life proof. When I was speaking to the head teacher about this example, they said the combination of the increase of national insurance on teachers' costs, which is about 80% of their outgoings, combined with this removal, all these things combined, has a huge impact. And the evidence is they have to shut. So they will be closing their doors at the end of July 2025, which is an absolute travesty.
For a moment you mentioned the word you, and I wasn't asking the question. Continue.
I wouldn't dare say that about you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Apologies. Madam Deputy Speaker, if the government is intent on punishing the aspiration of my constituents for the future of their children, the least they can do is grant the concessions we are asking for in all of our amendments, specifically number 7 and 10. Now, Amendment 7 would exempt those private schools who wholly or partially provide education for those SEND children who have not yet obtained an EHC plan or whose needs are established but not so severe as to require one. SEND support in schools helps pupils with level of need below that of an EHC plan. Now, restricting relief to only those who provide for the most severe needs is out of step with the rest of our education system. Many families, upon not being successful in either applying for an EHC plan or indeed enduring huge waiting times for the local authority to put one in place, opt to send their children to a private school. We should not punish families that choose to do what is in the best interests of their children. And now Amendment 10 would delay the introduction of this tax hike for a further year to allow schools to plan their finances accordingly. And this is just plain common sense and would mean that fewer schools like Cardiff have to make the unenviable choice of closing their doors.
Would you give way on that point?
Of course I would.
I think she's really hit the nail on the head, a timing issue here. The Labour government was up front on this tax rise in their manifesto, explicitly, but they claim that they care about children's education and welfare. If that is the case, why would you implement this change halfway through an academic year? We've just heard from another member that turns around and says, well, it doesn't matter because it's 120 kids in the member's constituency. Well, actually, that really does, because every single child's education matters. And even if it is a small amount at the margin, simply delaying it, as the schools, the experts and the parents have asked for, I think is completely justifiable. would she agree with me?
Thank you. I totally concur, and it's powerfully made points, because the impact goes just not beyond the 120 individual students. It also goes to the arrangements for their parents and how they're working, because often the head teacher of my school is obviously a head teacher. Her husband was also a teacher, and it had huge impacts upon what they're going to do with their children as well, if they can manage with the new school place arrangements. So I think it is terribly misguided. So we do need to really think about what we're doing, because I think it is an absolute travesty that we will lose a school. No, I'll keep going if you don't mind. No, but I think it's an absolute travesty, and I do not want to see any other schools close or any other children suffer as a result of this plan. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, I hope that colleagues across the House will join us this afternoon in supporting these amendments.
Davies.